So, okay, so these questions which are MCQs are there. MCQs previously I have given uh, whenever it means whatever unit test or chapter test we have conducted, during that I've given the same MCQs which are also shared with you. The difference is that only the answers are not given by me. So here, when first question is regarding MCQs, which of the following is not an application for data science? So, okay, so whatever privacy checker is there, that is not allowed in the data science. Remaining, that is the recognition systems, online price comparison, then image and speech recognition. These are the applications of data science, or these are the systems where data science is used. Only to bridge the privacy, the data science is not used. Okay, so first answer is D. Second, among the following options, choose the one which depicts the correct reason why data analysis, big data analysis is difficult to optimize. Okay, so here the first answer is the technique to mine the data. So in case of big data, we are using many techniques. It means it is not the way that we don't have way to process the data. Yes, we are having multiple ways to process the data. And that's why it is not technology is difficult, because here processing of data is difficult, and whatever traditional systems are there, a traditional data processing system, that we cannot use. Okay, and that's why here we cannot say that technology is difficult. Technology is much more clear and much more easier to learn, and that's why we cannot say that this option is correct. Okay, next, both data and cost effective ways to mine the data to make business sense out of it. Okay, so here we can say that this option is appropriate for the correct answer. Here, whatever data we are receiving, that is having in multiple ways. It means it can be structured, it can be non-structured, that is unstructured, or it can be semi-structured as well. And it cannot be complete. It means I cannot expect that each time I will get the complete data. Some of the data might be missing. So here it means that for processing data, we need to perform multiple filters to that. And again, to mine the data, mining of the data, it means that uh, just like gold mining, it means that I need to, it means just like if you wanted to mine the gold, we need to go to the earth crust for the multiple large distance and multiple that is very cover the large area, then we can get, that is from that we can extract the only in terms of grams etc, we can extract the gold. Similarly here also, whenever we are mining, it means that we are having the large input, but whatever output is there, that is very small. Small, it means that that is quantity, in terms of quantity, or finding the rules or finding some patterns, that is a difficult. So for that I'm having data in large amount, and that's why data mining, this concept or data mine, it means that we need to process data. So business decision or business sense out of it means that from that we cannot, it means we wanted to make some conclusion. That's why this part is difficult, that is processing data is difficult. And cost effective, it means that of course whenever we are processing the large amount of data, it will always a costly procedure. Okay, and that's why this option is an answer for this second question. Okay, so third option is at all not correct. Big data is not difficult to optimize. Yes, it says that it is very difficult to optimize. Optimize, it means that I wanted to reduce the cost. So in that case, if we are having the large amount of data, it is very difficult to perform the optimization. Okay, and that's why this option is also not correct, and none of the above, that is not applicable, because whatever the second choice is there, that is covering our required option. Okay, next, which libraries offer many functions and tools to produce quality output in variety of formats such as plots, charts, graphs, etc. So here out of that, during the second lecture, during the second chapter, where we are using the Python tools for implementation of data science, during that we studied that NumPy, this is used for deal with the numeric values in terms of arrays, matrices, etc. That's why NumPy is not used for the graphs and charts. SciPy, this is used for machine learning algorithms. Interlibrary, I'm not aware about this up till now. And last one is matplotlib. So here I can see that here plot is there. So definitely this is used for the matrix plotting or this is a matrix plot library. Okay, it means that this is the library which is used for the plotting charts and graphs. Okay, so for third option is D. Next, we are having the fourth question. So Ravi, open the file myfile.txt in append mode. In this file, the file object or file handle will be the, it means file handle, it means that just now if I'm writing click here, so this is the cursor that is beating, it means that showing the presence of it. So here whenever we are opening the append mode of the file, it always points at the end of the file. Okay, append mode, it means that just like previously some contents are there and again I wanted to add the contents. So because of this, always whenever we are opening file into the append mode, this will always point to the very end of the file, and because of which the option B is correct for fourth option, fourth choice. Okay, next question. What will be the probability of getting odd numbers if the dice is thrown? So we know that dice is having the numbers from 1 to 6. Within 1 to 6, we know that 3 are the odd numbers and 3 are the even numbers. So getting the odd number is exactly having the probability as 3 by 6. 3 by 6, which is equivalent to the 1 by 2. And because of which the fifth question is having the answer as A. Next, question number 6. Point out the wrong statement. So here I wanted to point the wrong statement. A percentile is simply a quantile with expressed as a percent. Yes, this is a correct statement. There are two types of the random variables. Yes, there are two types of the random variables. And third one, R, it means cannot appropriate quantiles for you for common distributions. Okay, so here R is referring to the R language. Okay, just like Python, for implementation of data science, this R language can be used, and it is also having the much more capability, that is similar capability as compared to the Python. And it is also having the implementation of common distributions, normal distributions, etc. And here, whatever the statement it says, that is a wrong statement. It is having the appropriate quantiles for implementation of common distribution. And that's why C option is the right choice for the question number 6. Okay, so this is regarding the MCQs. So please read this question, read the answer, and if you are still facing that, yes, in your opinion, some of the question is not right or answer can be conflict, let me know. Okay, and then we'll study for, then we will go for the theory questions. No problem with the MCQs? Okay, let me go through the theory questions. Okay, the first question is, what is data science and elaborate in brief. Okay, I think in the complete question paper, this is the most easy question. Here I'm not asking any specific regarding the data science. Definition I am asking. So for this definition, I think for the data science, around 5 to 6 definitions I have given. So here, in short, if consider I wanted to define what is meant by a data science. So previously also, during the lectures also I told you that data science doesn't refer to that is there is not a single fixed definition for the data science. Data science can be defined in multiple ways. So here the main theme we wanted to implement, or we wanted to express that this is a data science, it means that I'm giving the input as large amount of data, and from that I'm processing that data, and after processing I'm giving the useful insights. Okay, useful insights or features. That is, we are saying some features, just like if I'm saying that customer of so and so village purchases more cell phones, it means that I'm giving some analysis. So features, it means that how my data I got, how I got this data, how we got these figures, why there is a much more sale, why there is a much more lack of the or we can say why we cannot sell much more products at this point, etc. It means that when it comes to the large amount of data, here finding these features or useful insights or patterns or some decisions. Okay, so here it means that here this is the main theme of data science definition. That is, I'm processing the large amount of data. Input is large amount of data, which is which can be structured, which can be non-structured. We are performing the processing. So in case of processing, it means that we are removing the noise, we are removing the whatever that is unreadable data, which can be in multiple languages. We wanted to processing the data. So it means that whatever the processing of data is there, that we are performing here. And in case of processing also, here cleansing, munching, multiple processes are there into the processing. So pre-processing techniques also we can perform, and then applying some rules, and then we are finding the useful insights. So useful insight, just like I'm finding out features, patterns, and any some that is any information which will increase my business sale. Okay, so this is the main definition. That is, these are the some keywords which we, that is which I expect during the data science definition. Okay, here there was no fixed and for fixed definition for the data science, but here the in expected is that we are processing large amount of data and getting some features as an output. So data science is how this data, that is how I'm having the facts and figures, whatever figures are there, why these figures are there, that we are seeing. So this is regarding the definition. For definition, those who have written the same definition, that is which includes these keywords to that. So this question is for the total 4 marks. Okay. So out of 4 marks, if consider question is for the 4 marks, I expect that at least you should write 8 points. Okay. 8 points. It doesn't mean that I will say this is used in the business, this is used in the multinational companies. Okay, these two statements doesn't mean these are the 2 points. Okay, here in these points. So, okay, first I will expect the definition. Okay, first I will expect the definition. That is in terms of your own words. No need to by heart the definition. Then for the definition, I will use the elaboration. Elaboration, it means that I will take an example, just like if we are having, you can take any example. That is just like trends. Trends, it means that right now what is much more on the social sites, what which video is circulated, or what is more accessed, or for which subject or which area in the market is right now in boom. What is the just like if right now consider that we are having the much more smartphones cells during this year, it means why this is there. So it means that here you can apply any example here for the elaboration. For this purpose, I have designed or I have given the 2 marks. Even though this elaboration you can use without explanation as well, but elaboration should include how this data science is processing my data. Okay, so for this definition and elaboration, I have given 2 marks. Then I expect that at least you should have 4 points. Okay, elaboration you can give in your own words. Then I can use, or I expect that you can use for the application. So already here in the first MCQ, you can say that applications of data science. So already you can list these 3 applications at least into the same question. Okay, here I expect that you should apply, that is here elaborate in brief. It means that there was no restriction that what should you write into the definition of this. There is no any restriction for writing into this data science. You can write by your own. It means there was no fixed format that should be the part of your answer. But here main thing is that whatever you know about the data science, that you should write into this question. Next, and last one, I have covered a figure during the data science. For this application, I expected 1 mark and one figure is there, that is data processing, communication gap analysis, etc. And that figure plus 1 line explanation. Okay, or you can decide whether take the figure and explain all the processing. That also comes under elaboration. Okay, and for this purpose, I have given the 1 mark. So this was the dividation for the first question. Okay, so okay, I will repeat. डेफिनेशन आणि इलॅबोरेशन म्हणजे माझ्या डेफिनेशन मध्ये समजा मी एखादी डेफिनेशन लिहिली तर असं नाही की माझं सगळं म्हणणं त्या डेफिनेशन मध्ये क्लिअर होतं. इलॅबोरेशन म्हणजे काय की मी त्याच्यातले समजा दिले असेल की बाबा विच प्रोसेसेस लार्ज अमाऊंट ऑफ डेटा अँड विच आउटपुट्स ॲज अ इनपुट फीचर्स अँड पॅटर्न्स. मग असं नाही की मी माझ्या एका डेफिनेशन मध्ये माझे सगळे कंटेंट्स कव्हर करू शकतो. मी माझी डेफिनेशन इलॅबोरेट करते म्हणजे काय की माझ्या इनपुट प्रोसेसिंग म्हणजे काय, इनपुट माझं काय असू शकतं आणि युजफुल इन्साइट्स अँड पॅटर्न्स म्हणजे काय हे सुद्धा तुम्ही तुमच्या शब्दात इथं लिहू शकत होता. युजफुल इन्साइट्स म्हणजे काय की मी एखादा रूल फाइंड आउट केला किंवा एखादं हिडन फीचर फाइंड आउट केलं ते तुम्ही लिहू शकता इथं. ओके, सो इट मीन्स दॅट इवन दो इफ आय एम रायटिंग द डेफिनेशन इन टू 1 to 2 lines, elaboration can run for the multiple lines. And by expecting this, I expected that here you should have the 4 points and त्या 4 points साठी मी 2 marks allocate केले होते. Application, wherever I'm using the data science, for this purpose I have given 1 mark. हा, जर application तुम्ही elaborate केला असेल then also I skip the figure part. Okay, application समजा मी लिहिलं की रिकमेंडेड सिस्टीम किंवा स्पीच रिकॉग्निशन, त्याच्यामध्ये जर समजा तुम्ही बरोबर लिहिलं असेल की बाबा डेटा सायन्स नक्की कुठचा यूज होतो, दॅट ऑल्सो आय हॅव कन्सिडर्ड. म्हणजे इथं माझे मार्क व्हॅरी करतात. ओके, इथं समजा तुम्ही अप्लिकेशन जर इलॅबोरेट केले असतील इन द राईट वर्ड्स, ओके, देन आय हॅव कन्सिडर दॅट हिअर आय कॅन गिव्ह यू द रिमेनिंग 2 marks. ओके, इट डिपेंड्स. आणि त्याच्यानंतर हे ऑप्शन होते की बाबा अप्लिकेशन तुम्ही लिहिल्या आणि फिगर जर काढली. ओके, फिगर इफ यू आर गिव्हिंग अँड फॉर द फिगर ऑल्सो यू आर गिव्हिंग द एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर 1 to 2 lines, and for this purpose I have given the 1 mark as well. आणि total समजा throughout this if you are mentioning 8 points, then figure also I have kept this as an optional. असं नाही की figure mandatory होती. No, here we are not. It means in brief it doesn't specify that how you wanted to write the answer. Here I expected that 8 points should be there, 8 new points or non-overlapping points should be there, which includes definition and elaboration. Okay, clear with this question? या क्वेश्चन मध्ये काय लिहायचं होतं, क्लिअर आहे? Okay, if you all are keeping the mum, okay, clear. Now let us go for the next question. What is data visualization? Which are the different types of the charts? Explain each with the example. Okay, so here whenever we are म्हणजे असं होऊ शकतं की तुम्ही कुठला तरी दुसरा सोर्स रेफर करताय आणि त्याच्यामुळे तुम्हाला माहिती नाही की बाबा या पॉइंट मध्ये आपल्याला काय लिहायचंय. सो लेट मी शेअर द कम्प्लीट स्क्रीन विथ यू. Okay, here the main source for your writing should be always a syllabus. Okay, I do not want you to go out of the syllabus and then write your answer. म्हणजे तुम्ही स्वतःहून सिलेबसच्या बाहेरचं करावं. That is not expected here. So here, whenever we are looking at the syllabus, initially, always during the start of the chapter, I always mention the syllabus. And whenever we are starting with a new chapter, at that point also, we are discussing with the which are the points we covered into the syllabus. Okay, as per the syllabus, right now for the your ISC, I strictly mentioned that you can study for the 3 chapters. It means that whatever data visualization question was there, that was from the 2nd chapter. And visualizing data, here we are having these 3 types of the charts. Okay, so here the main aim म्हणजे माझं असं सांगण्याचा मेन अर्थ आहे की तुम्ही बाकीचे प्लॉट कव्हर करा न कव्हर करा और ग्राफ कव्हर करा, दॅट डझंट मॅटर, बट these 3 must be covered. Okay, these 3 must get covered. That was the main aim. Okay, so when I'm asking this question, that is what is data science and which are the different types of the charts, explain each with the example. So data science, data visualization, it means that I wanted to represent my data in terms of graphical or pictorial format. Okay, that was the definition. So elaboration necessary but not mandatory. Okay, it means that for this definition, okay, data visualization definition, I have given the 1 mark. Okay, so this is a 1 mark I have given. Okay, spelling mistake. 1 mark. And then what are the different types of the charts? So as per the strictly by syllabus, we are having 3 types of the charts. So for each of these charts, I have assigned 1 mark. Okay. So it means that for bar chart, I have assigned 1 mark. Then line charts, I assigned 1 mark. And scatter plots, I have assigned 1 mark. Okay. Here explain each with the example. It means that here you should write for which what is meant by bar chart, the definition of the bar chart, and then the graphical representation. Okay, ज्यावेळेस आपण डेटा व्हिज्युअलायझेशन म्हणतो त्यावेळेस आपण म्हणतो की बाबा डेटा इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्राफ रिप्रेझेंट करायला पाहिजे आणि तुम्ही फक्त थिअरी मध्ये जर आन्सर लिहित असेल, no, that is not at all applicable. So in 1 marks, I expected that you should write 2 lines of the theory and 1 figure. 2 lines of the theory, it means 1 will be definition, and next one will be की म्हणजे बार चार्ट समजा मी एखादा इनपुट दिलं की x एवढी व्हॅल्यू असते आणि y एवढी आहे, तर मग मी असं रिप्रेझेंट करेल. त्याच्यामध्ये माझा x आणि y चा डेटा मला एक्सपेक्टेड होता, बट इनिशियली मी काय केलं की सगळ्यांना डेटा नाही. हिअर आय स्ट्रिक्टली मेन्शन दॅट एक्सप्लेन ईच विथ द एक्झाम्पल. मग याच्यामध्ये मला डेटा पॉइंट्स आणि फिगर असं एक्सपेक्टेड होतं, बट when I go through the examples of all the answer sheet, yet nobody has given the x and y inputs and directly had drawn the graphs, and that's why I skipped that. It means माझे अपेक्षा मी कमी केली. And if you are giving only figure and definition, I've given 1 mark. Okay, similarly for the line charts and similarly for the scatter plots as well. So if somewhere your name is not correct, scatter plots ऐवजी खूप सारे नवीन इन्व्हेन्शन झालेले आहेत की बाबा कुठल्या कुठल्या टाइपचे ग्राफ असतात वगैरे. So for those I've reduced 1 mark. If consider you have written only theory, still I've given 3 marks, and figure mark I have not assigned. It means total for the total complete question I've given 3 marks and one question one mark is reduced. आणि यांपैकी एक जरी ग्राफ जर मिस झाला, charts or plots, I reduced 1 mark for each of them. ओके, सो फक्त डेटा व्हिज्युअलायझेशन मी डेफिनेशन लिहिली आणि फक्त एकच चार्ट जर ड्रॉ केला तर 2च मार्क मिळू शकतात इथं. ओके, सो दिस वॉज द डिस्ट्रीब्युशन ऑफ द मार्क्स फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन. एनी डाउट इन दिस? No, actually, I'm getting the question that scatter plot is the part of the plots or chart. Question is for the charts because charts and plots are different. Yes, here types of, it means when we are talking about plot and chart it means that continuity is there. Chart मध्ये माझी continuity असते आणि plot मध्ये माझं कसं की district असू शकतं, but that was a tool again used for the data visualization. Okay, and for this purpose it means I have taken plots. Whenever we are talking about the charts, this plot is also as part of expected part of this charts. Okay, and that's why here I had not differentiated between plots and charts because both are the tools which are used for the data visualization. Yes, and not only you, multiple students, it means many students have written only chart. Actually, that was not expected. Data visualization, I was expecting that you should cover the points which are under the syllabus. Okay, data visualization, I'm having 3 points, and that's why all these points are covered under that, and that's why I expected that during the charts you should cover also scatter plots. Okay, so that was the answer for the second question. Next question, what is the statistics and describe the large, how we can describe the data in the large amount? Okay. What is the statistics and how we can describe data in large amount? So let me go through the syllabus here. Statistics describing a single set of data. Okay, so in the statistics, we are having correlation, Simpson's paradox, correlation and causation. So right now here, I'm asking for the describing how we can describe the large amount of data. Okay, so describing it means that here in this point, we have covered those contents. Okay, statistics म्हणजे काय की माझ्याकडे माझा data in terms of matrices, arrays आहे, and I'm having data in terms of hundreds of tuples or more than that maybe, or consider that even though if I'm having data of 20 objects किंवा म्हणजे statistics म्हणजे काय की समजा मी माझ्याकडे माझा 10 स्टुडंटचा डेटा आहे or 20 स्टुडंट्स डेटा or 80 or let us take 1000 etc. So whenever I'm giving this data, म्हणजे मी असं सांगू शकत नाही की student 1 is having this many marks in the subject, this many marks in the subject, this many marks. So here that doesn't give any output. म्हणजे त्या इनपुट पासून मी काहीच करू शकत नाही, म्हणजे डायरेक्टली डेटा मला नकोच आहे. So in case of statistics, whenever we wanted to describe the data, it means that we are defining how many data is there. That is what is meant by count. Here, what is the largest value? What is the smallest value? Okay. What the or variance, etc. So these operations we have seen. Describe it means that we do not expect the actual data. We are describing the data that there is a data of 150 students. What is the statistics? Okay, so when I asked this question, so I expected that for the statistics definition, 1 mark was there. Okay, so define, for that I assigned 1 mark, and I expected that out of these many operations, except smallest and largest, this is taken as a single entity. And mean, variance, then quantile, mode. So there are total 5 to 6 operations are there. I expected that out of that, you should give me at least 3 operations along with the example. And what is mean by that? It means if I'm saying that what this is mean by count, then what is mean by count, how we can get, that is which are the Python functions available for this. So by using the example, you can take a single example and explain these points with the example, same example. म्हणजे here expected that I will take a matrix. Okay, एखादा matrix किंवा एखादा array घ्यायचा. It is not mandatory to have 2-dimensional data. We can have 1-dimensional data as well. So within that matrix, I will assign some values, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever data points are there. And then I will mention with respect to this example, what is mean by count, what is mean by largest and smallest value, mean, variance, quantile, and mode. So these operations we have studied. Total there are 6 operations. Out of that, I expected that there should be 3 operations which will describe the data. Okay, that was the expected answer. But up till now, hardly few students only have tried this question. Many of the students have covered that is first 2 previous options. So even though if this question is asked, you can write this answer. Yes, if you are still having the time, that is all questions are attempted. So here, instead of 3, you can go for whatever the operations, and how many numbers of the operations you can go for writing. Okay, but whenever we are writing some formulas, etc., always take an example here. Okay, example काय करतं की बाबा तुमचे अंडरस्टँडिंग क्लिअरली शो करायला मदत करतं. म्हणजे डेफिनेशन लिहिल्या ना, तुम्ही बाय हार्ट केली का तुम्हाला डेफिनेशन माहिती, हे क्लिअर नाही होत. बट समजा तुम्ही एखादं एक्झाम्पल घेऊन जर ते अॅक्युरेटली जर दाखवलं तर लगेच क्लिअर होतं की तुम्हाला त्या पॉइंट बद्दल कम्प्लीट नॉलेज आहे म्हणून. Okay, and that's why whenever we are having the clear understanding of any points, please don't forget to use the example to show that you know that this point is meaning of this point. Okay, and that's why even though you are not writing the remaining details, whenever we are writing applications or some concept, etc., example will be used for showing your clear understanding. And that's why at least in data science, whenever it means when not only in data science, in any explanation, wherever you are explaining any concept, etc., please follow the example rule. Okay. Next question. Okay, next question is, what is big data? Explain different fields of big data. Okay, so here main definition of big data is that big data, it means that this is a large amount of data, and the main thing is that the data which cannot be processed by the traditional data processing system. Okay, traditional was the traditional was the word which was required during the definition. Okay, so many of you have changed this word into religious or religion, etc. Please, traditional, we are technical people, and please don't use such word, etc. during writing your answers. ट्रॅडिशनचं मीनिंग म्हणजे काय, की जे वर्षानुवर्षे आपण करत आलेलं आहे. इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेक्नॉलॉजी, इन टर्म्स ऑफ डेटाबेस. In the database, we are keeping data into files, into structured format, etc. आणि structured format मध्ये जसा प्रोसेस करायचा वे आहे, तो वे आपला बिग डेटाला अप्लिकेबल नाही. That was the meaning behind using this word. Please don't use such words during your writing your answers. Okay. सो ट्रॅडिशनल रिलिजियस हे ज्यावेळेस आपण म्हणजे स्पोकन लँग्वेजेस मध्ये म्हणतो किंवा फेस्टिवलच्या बाबतीत म्हणतो. सो यू माइट यूज दिस वर्ड, बट वेन एव्हर यू आर dealing with the technologies, please don't use that word. So this was the traditional. Traditional was the word expected into the big data definition, and later on I expected that you should explain what is mean by structured data. कारण की ट्रॅडिशनल मध्ये मला सांगायचं की बाबा मी एक्झिस्टिंग डेटा प्रोसेस करू शकत नाही, म्हणजे माझा डेटा वेगळ्या टाईपचा आहे. मग कुठल्या टाईपचा आहे? सो दॅट यू कॅन एक्सपेक्ट गिव्ह बाय युझिंग स्ट्रक्चर्ड, अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड and semi-structured. Okay, so that is required here. I got spelling mistake, but please, okay. Okay, I expected that along with the definition. So for the definition, I have given 1 mark. For these 3 types, okay, I have given 2 marks. Okay, then regarding the explain different ways of big data. Okay, so this question is ambiguous. Ambiguous म्हणजे काय की याला फिक्स आन्सर नाहीये. So during the explanation also, ज्यावेळेस मी हा पॉइंट क्लासमध्ये शिकवला होता, at that point also I mentioned that some sources give 3 weeks. Okay, some sources give 4 weeks and few gives 5 weeks as well. But here I strictly mentioned that as during the syllabus we have covered 4 weeks, because most of the sources are giving the 4 weeks. That's why whenever you are writing answer for the big data, please mention these 4 weeks. And that's why here those who have written 3 weeks, that is here it means during, as this was the first ISC or first your written examination for the data science, I have given full marks to these questions regarding those who have written the weeks, either 3, either 4, or either 5, because almost whatever 4 weeks or 5 weeks we are defining, that these are overlapping with the 3 weeks, and that's why here it is not mandatory that you should go for 5 or 6 weeks, etc. No, during the study I have covered 4 weeks, but this 4 weeks also can be covered into 3 weeks. So 4 weeks expected is volume, velocity, then variety, and last one, variation. Okay, so these are the variety, velocity, and variation. Okay, so these are the weeks expected during the study. But during the paper checking, I come to know that other than 4 weeks, there are multiple weeks are available, multiple spellings for the variation, variability, variation. This is also shown by the variability. So here for this 3 or 4 or 5, I have given 4 marks. Okay, so if even though you are writing the single line explanation which covers almost what is mean by volume, what is mean by velocity, what is mean by variety, that was sufficient. But still I expected that for each of this week you should write 2 points. Okay, and the 1 mark I have reserved for the example. Example म्हणजे काय? So here what is mean by volume of data? So here during the class coverage, I have given the example of jet engine, that is flight reservations, velocity, with which speed data is generated, variety, what types of the different data we are correct, and variation, it means that in number of, that is sources of data are different. ओके, सोर्सेस म्हणजे काय की मला युट्यूब वरून डेटा मिळू शकतो, मला गुगल वरून टेक्स्ट फाईल मध्ये डेटा मिळू शकतो, किंवा मला एखाद्या सोशल साईट वरून डेटा मिळू शकतो की जिथे कमेंट्स आहेत एक्सेट्रा. ओके, सो इट मीन्स दॅट वेन एव्हर आय एम डीलिंग विथ द व्हॅरिएशन, व्हॅरिएशन इट मीन्स दॅट की माझा डेटा सोर्स फिक्स नाहीये. ओके, yes, any problem? Is anyone is having a question or doubt? variety, it means that my data is having the different formats. I can have text file, I can have audio file, multimedia file, or any image, etc. It means that variety, it means that this is a type of data, म्हणजे माझा डेटा कुठल्या टाइप मध्ये असू शकतो. व्हॅरिएशन, इट मीन्स दॅट व्हॉट कॅन बी सोर्स ऑफ माय डेटा, म्हणजे माझ्या डेटाचा सोर्स कुठलाही असू शकतो. असं नाही की मी फक्त एका सोर्स कडूनच multiple types of data घेते. Okay, and that's why this was the definition I was expecting. Volume म्हणजे माझा लार्ज अमाउंट मध्ये डेटा जनरेट होतो, सॉरी अमाउंट मध्ये डेटा आहे, आणि वेलोसिटी म्हणजे डेटा जनरेशनचं स्पीड जास्त आहे. Okay, so these 4 V's are expected. Okay, those who have written the correct definitions or almost same definitions, that to those I have given the 2, that is 2 lines explanation or 1 line explanation. I have given the 4 marks, and 1 mark I have reserved for the example मध्ये मला काय हवं होतं की तुम्ही रिझर्वेशनचं घ्या, मग त्याच्यामध्ये डेटा व्हॉल्यूम म्हणजे काय, वेलोसिटी म्हणजे काय, व्हरायटी म्हणजे काय, आणि व्हॅरिएशन म्हणजे काय, या चारींचाही एक सिंगल लाईन मध्ये एक्सप्लेनेशन या एक्झाम्पल मध्ये कव्हर हवं होतं. सो I don't remember exactly the roll number of the student, but he or she has given what is meant by value. त्या स्टुडंटने व्हॉल्यूम मध्ये पण एक्झाम्पल दिले, वेलोसिटी मध्ये पण दिले, व्हरायटी मध्ये पण दिले, आणि व्हॅरिएशन मध्ये पण दिले. ओके, इव्हन दो म्हणजे तुम्ही ज्यावेळेस लिहिता त्या व्हॉल्यूम मध्ये जर समजा तुम्ही जनरेट केलं, म्हणजे असं नाही की सगळीकडे एकच एक्झाम्पल युज करायला पाहिजे, नाही. मी इथं व्हरायटी मध्ये माझं सोशल मीडियाचं एक्झाम्पल युज करू शकते, इथं मी माझ्या सोर्सेसचं एक्झाम्पल म्हणजे कुठून हे घ्यायचं असं युज करू शकते. वेलोसिटी मध्ये माझं डेटा जनरेशन जिथं रिझर्वेशन वगैरे आहे तिथं युज करू शकते. व्हॉल्यूम मध्ये ज्यावेळेस मी युट्यूबचे एक्झाम्पल घेते ते युज करू शकते. इट इज नॉट मॅन्डेटरी टू यूज द सेम एक्झाम्पल, बट you can use the same example or you can use the multiple examples. Asha student na me completely 8 marks 8 marks I have given, but those who have skipped either of these, I have reduced the marks. Okay, so maximum students have got the points, marks for this example. But whenever you are writing this question for the next time, please remember what should be the flow of your answer. Okay, traditional ha keyword yaila hava hota. You can write the definition of big data instead of traditional. Yes, big data also doesn't have a fixed definition, but traditional data processing system तो डेटा प्रोसेस करू शकत नाहीत, म्हणून बिग डेटा आला. दॅट वॉज द मेन एम. Then 3 types of this data which is getting processed and different ways. Okay, clear with this answer? Okay, next question. Define the following terms with respect to the probability: conditional probability, Bayes theorem, and random variables. Okay, so actually as I've given the 3 points, you may not be clear about which point is having the points. So here I expected that for this short point you should have 3 points, and last one 2 points. So here conditional probability म्हणजे काय की ज्यावेळेस म्हणजे 2 events, if there are 2 events, if second event is having effect of the first event, then we are calculating the formality. Sorry, we are calculating the probability. Conditional probability म्हणजे काय आहे की एकाच्या होण्या न होण्यावर दुसरा इव्हेंट माझा डिपेंडंट आहे का, म्हणजे माझी इनिशियल कंडिशन कुठली आहे त्याच्या बेसिसवर मी दुसऱ्याची कंडिशन गेस करू शकते का. So that was the conditional probability. So here I expected that you should write a definition. Okay, 3 marks साठी I expect that you should write a definition, define, then formula for calculating the probability, and example. Example म्हणजे काय, I can take डायस थ्रो किंवा क्वाइन थ्रो, कुठलाही सिम्पलेस्ट एक्झाम्पल जरी तुम्ही घेतला तर दॅट वॉज ओके. ओके, फॉर्म्युला म्हणजे काय की माझा ए म्हणजे काय, बी म्हणजे काय, as we are talking about the conditional probability, we are talking about the two events, A and B. So then state A is first event, B is my second event, and based on the probability, we are calculating the probability for the second event B. Then that was the formula expected here. Okay, and each of this defined formula and example. माझे 3 points आहेत and total marks are 3. Bayes theorem. So I don't know how many students have attended the lecture before ISC. Okay, your ISC was started on the I think 5th of the March, and I have taken lecture I think on the 4th Wednesday. Okay, during that lecture, I specifically taken Bayes theorem 3 examples I have taken. Okay, Bayes theorem चे मी 3 example घेतले होते, because here this was also point covered into the 4th chapter, and considering that ISA is there, students will attend the lecture and will pay the attention. That's why I covered this point, and also specifically this was also pointing to the 2nd chapter as well. So that's why here this Bayes theorem I explained here at this point where it is introduction to Bayes theorem. This point I have covered, and this point is also there into the 3rd chapter as well, Bayes theorem. Okay, so here the same point I have explained here. Okay, here also I expected the same, that is defined formula and example, and each one will be carrying 3 marks. So next, random variables. Random variables, here whenever we wanted to generate a random output, we are using the random variable. So definition and example, that was sufficient. Okay, so formula I was not expecting here. So this was the necessary for these 8 marks question and main question, which I expected that everyone will attempt this question and will use this question to score your marks. Okay, why I'm getting question? Yes, this was the question. I expect that already you have learned Python during your first semester, and you are well aware with the Python operations. And we also covered these operations during our reading file or writing file, etc. Yes, I had not covered each and every point just like append, etc. But here, whenever that is here, reading files. Here we covered in which mode we can go for opening the file, and whenever we wanted to perform the write operation, how we can perform. Okay, and considering that this Python you have learned already, I expect that you should write this question very properly. So here question is that write a Python program for performing following operations on file. Okay, read a file, append the contents, write the file from the start, and read and write the file. Okay, these are the 4 operations I'm expecting to write by using a Python program. So Python program, it means that whatever you are writing into the answer sheet, if I write that into my Python file, that will show me the output. Okay, Python program लिहा म्हणजे काय आहे की मी जो प्रोग्राम माझ्या आन्सर शीट मध्ये लिहिलाय तोच आहे तसा प्रोग्राम जर मी माझ्या पायथॉनच्या कन्सोलवर लिहिला आणि एक्झिक्यूट जर केला तर मला काही ना काही आउटपुट मिळाला पाहिजे. आउटपुट म्हणजे काय की माझी फाईल रीड व्हायला पाहिजे, माझे कंटेंट्स अपेंड व्हायला हवेत, माझी फाईल स्टार्ट पासून मी राईट करू शकायला हवी, and I can perform the read and write file. So here for this example I expected that you should write a proper program. म्हणजे proper program म्हणजे काय की तुम्ही प्रॉपर प्रोग्राम जसं समजा तो प्रोग्राम आहे तसा मी जर पायथॉनच्या नोटपॅड मध्ये जर लिहिला तर माझा प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्यूट व्हायला हवा. इन दॅट ओपिनियन आय हॅव गिवन दिस क्वेश्चन, राईट अ पायथॉन प्रोग्राम. ओके, पायथॉन प्रोग्राम मध्ये मला एक्सप्लेनेशन नको होतं, एक्सप्लेनेशन हवं होतं, बट इन टर्म्स ऑफ कमेंट्स इन माय प्रोग्राम ओनली. ओके, माझ्या प्रोग्राम मध्ये मला कमेंट मध्ये हे एक्सप्लेनेशन हवं होतं. एक्सप्लेनेशनच्या इन बिटवीन मध्ये मला सिंटॅक्स वगैरे नको होता, मला क्लिअरली हा एक प्रोग्राम हवा होता. And even I have given the freedom that you can write a single or multiple functions. मल्टिपल फंक्शन्स म्हणजे काय आहे की एका फंक्शन मध्ये तुम्ही हे ऑपरेशन करा, दुसऱ्या फंक्शन मध्ये हे ऑपरेशन करा, आणि एकच राईट अ प्रोग्राम, राईट अ पायथॉन प्रोग्राम म्हणजे काय की मला एकच प्रोग्राम एक्सपेक्टेड होता. प्रत्येक वेळेस तुम्ही नवीन फाईल ओपन करावी, त्याच्यामध्ये नवीन माझा पायथॉन प्रोग्राम, नो. हिअर आय एम एक्सपेक्टिंग दॅट अ सिंगल प्रोग्राम आय शुड हॅव. आणि हे तुमचं फ्रीडम होतं की तुम्ही हे ऑपरेशन्स एका सिंगल फंक्शन मध्ये करताय का मल्टिपल फंक्शन्स मध्ये करतात. सो वेन एव्हर आय वॉन्टेड टू रीड द फाईल, सो आय नीड टू राईट इज फाईल equal to open, and within that first I will pass the file which I wanted to open. Consider abc.txt. This is the file which I wanted to open. And next one, it is having the mode in which I wanted to open my file. Okay, so R by default the read mode is there. Always whenever we are opening the file, this will always perform the read operation if mode is not specified. But if I'm giving mode, this R is there, it means that I'm performing the read operation. आणि mode ही string value आहे. Okay, that's why double inverted commas are expected. So for reading the file, we need to give R as mode. For appending the contents, I need to give A as mode. For writing file from the start, I need to give W as mode. And for read write, I need to give R plus mode. And these all are in small letters. Okay. Okay, dash is not part of mode. Okay, dash त्या मोड मध्ये येत नाही. So I wanted to perform reading a file. Reading a file म्हणजे काय की फक्त फाईल ओपन रीड मोड मध्ये ओपन केली म्हणून माझे कंटेंट्स आपोआप रीड होत नाहीत. I need to call the functions. So I need to call file.read this function. So this will return me the string, but I wanted to print the म्हणजे रीड झाली पण ते रीड केलेला रिटर्न केलेला कशात ना कशात मला रिसीव्ह करावं लागेल. So either I will print the contents. Sorry, this one is one way, or you can take into some string variable. Okay, असंही असू शकतं की तुम्ही एखाद्या स्ट्रिंग मध्ये ते कंटेंट्स रिसीव्ह करताय. Okay, so this is the first way. Or I can go for file dot read line as well. Whenever you wanted to read the contents line by line, I can use the read line function as well. Okay, this is for another way. Or I can go for reading a file मध्ये मी तुम्हाला restriction दिले नव्हते की तुम्ही स्टार्ट पासून लिहावं, स्टार्ट पासून रीड करावं किंवा एंड पासून करावं. So here you can go for read and can pass the pointer location as well. So read 10, it means that पहिले 10 कॅरेक्टर सोडून पुन्हा मला रीड करायचं आहे. So here in this way also you can go for read function. Okay, it means that if I wanted to read the file, either I can perform this way, either I can go for read line function, or either I can go for read from the seek. That is म्हणजे त्या पॉइंट पासून मला रीड करायला चालू करायचं. Initially whenever we are opening file into the read mode, it will always point to the very first location from the first line. Okay, and that's why here we expect that if you wanted to go for read it directly करता येत नाही. Here I need to go for the seek. Seek म्हणजे काय आहे की seek म्हणजे त्या लोकेशनला मला घेऊन चला. So here this will be the location, and from there you can read the contents. But I cannot expect that you should write all these in detail. I expected that at least either of these read, you will explain either this read or this read or this read. तिन्ही पैकी तुम्ही कुठलंही रीड करू शकत होता. And printing the contents. जे काही contents मी read केलं ते print करायचे होते. That was expected. So here either I can perform this one here after this, and after reading the complete file, the main thing is that you should close the file. Okay, that was expected here. ओके, म्हणजे फाईल ओपन केली, रीड केली आणि त्याच्यानंतर फाईल क्लोज केली. मग then I can say that my read operation is completed. Similarly for the append contents. Append contents म्हणजे काय की existing जे आहे, if considered abc.txt, there are 4 lines and append this will always point to the end of the line. Okay, so file read a, then I expected that file dot राईट ऑपरेशन शुड बी देअर. अपेंड म्हणजे काय की फाईल ही राईट मोड मध्ये ओपन होती आणि एंड ऑफ द लाईन, एंड ऑफ द फाईलला हे पॉइंट करतं. देन आय एक्सपेक्टेड दॅट यू आर रायटिंग समथिंग हिअर इन टू माय फाईल अँड देन क्लोजिंग द फाईल. ओके, याच्यामध्ये परत रीड करणं न करणं दॅट इज युअर चॉईस, बट दॅट वॉज नॉट मॅन्डेटरी इन टू माय क्वेश्चन. Okay, then writing the file from the start. Yes, instead of A, I will use here W, which will give me that yes, we are writing the contents, and directly it will go for writing the contents as well. Okay, then read write. So for this purpose, read write साठी we are using the R plus mode. Okay, R plus mode. So here you might be expecting whenever we are opening the file into the R plus mode, again this will point to the start of the file. Okay, ज्यावेळेस मी रीड राईट मोड मध्ये फाईल ओपन करते त्यावेळेस ते नेहमी स्टार्ट मोड मध्ये ओपन करते. सो रीड राईट म्हणजे काय की मला फाईल रीड पण करायची आणि राईट पण करायची. ओके, सो इफ कन्सिडर आय वॉन्टेड टू राईट द कंटेंट्स, फर्स्ट आय नीड टू सीक माय पॉइंटर टू द एंड, or I can go for consider 80, 70, etc. So if consider I'm going to this location file.seek, या लोकेशनला गेले, त्याच्यानंतर कंटेंट्स राईट केले. आफ्टर दॅट अगेन आय विल कॉल द seek to go to the 0th location and then we'll read the contents. मला काय शो करायचंय की मी फाईल रीड तर केलेली आहे आणि राईट केलेले कंटेंट्स पण मला दिसत आहेत. So that I wanted to show. Then first of all you can either perform the write or either you can perform the read operation and then write the contents. असंही करू शकता, असं नाही की सीकच केलं पाहिजे, तुम्ही आधी राईटच करा मग रीड करा. नो, here I expected that you should perform both the operations, read as well as write. Okay, so that was the expected answer here, and later you can go for file dot read and then file closing. So whatever these operations I am performing, either it was supposed to write into the single or multiple functions. मग जर समजा तुम्ही एवढा कोड जर लिहिला असेल here and close file, still I have given the marks considering that you are writing independent functions. But wherever I'm finding only this one syntax without read operation or without close is also mandatory. Okay, or not a proper mode, म्हणजे तुम्ही फक्त याचे मोड जरी लिहिले म्हणजे ओपनिंगचे तरी सुद्धा मी फक्त 4च मार्क दिलेले आहेत. ज्यांनी प्रॉपर एक्झाम्पल लिहिले, इवन दो देअर दॅट स्टुडंट्स आन्सर इज व्हेरी लेस, स्टील इफ ऑल द ऑपरेशन्स आर परफॉर्म प्रॉपरली, स्टील आय हॅव गिवन द 8 मार्क्स. पण ज्यांनी फक्त सिंटॅक्स लिहिलेला आहे आणि विदाउट एक्सप्लेनेशन, माहिती नाही की बाबा रीड मोड मध्ये ओपन केलाय, रीड कसं करायचं, राईट कसं करायचं, or only opened into read write mode but had not performed the operations, to those I have given the very less marks. But still almost every student has got 4 marks in this question. I don't remember anyone has got 2 or 3 marks etc. हा, मोड चुकला असेल तर परत त्या प्रत्येक मोड मागे मी मार्क्स रिड्यूस केलेले आहे. ओके, so that was regarding discussion of our question paper. So let me know still if you are facing that या क्वेश्चन मध्ये हे का बरं आलं, त्या क्वेश्चन मध्ये मी असं लिहिलंय किंवा हे लिहायला का बरं तुम्ही सांगितलं. इफ यू आर हॅव्हिंग द प्रॉब्लेम प्लीज लेट मी नो. आय विल वेट फॉर अ मिनिट. Okay, I expect that next time you all will write the question with implying the logic. So let us start with our today's chapter. So here we started with the fifth chapter in the syllabus, that is the machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms, we are going to learn which are the there are different types of the machine learning are there: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforced. Out of that, we are studying algorithms which are used for the supervised learning. Okay, and so this is the syllabus: classification and regression algorithm. So we started with the naive Bayes. So within which we have seen the three variations. So first we seen what is meant by classification. First we seen what is meant by supervised machine learning. That is, we are giving the trend data, designing the model, and then applying it to the test data. And here human effort is required for building the training data. Model. Then again we seen there are two major types of the supervised machine learning problems. That is first classification and regression. Classification, it means that we wanted to divide into some categories the given set of data. Whereas regression, it means that we are expecting the continuous output. Okay, again in classification, we are having binary classification and multi-class classification. And in case of regression, we are having the continuous value output, where we doesn't divide the given input into multiple categories, but we can expect the continuous values. Then we seen the example of that examples for what is meant by classification and regression. And then we started with the first point. So within that, again, we revise the definition of classification and regression. And then we started with the naive Bayes, where are three implementations are available for the Bayes classifiers in scikit-learn. That is Gaussian, naive Bayes, Bernoulli's, and multinomial. So for the binary classification, Bernoulli's is used and multinomial is used for the multiple classes, whereas Gaussian is used for the regression problems. Okay, so we have seen this example, and next we've seen there are some weaknesses and strengths of those, and then we will start with the today's new algorithm, that is k nearest neighbors. Okay, so this is also called as a KNN. So KNN, this is used for the both regression as well as for the classification. Okay, so KNN, this here, the main thing is that we are talking about the nearest neighbors. Nearest, we are talking about the distance. Neighbors, it means that the other data points. Okay, whenever we are dealing with the data science, we always talks in terms of data values or data points into my graph, into my existing data set. Okay, so that you should keep in mind. So the KNN algorithm is arguably a simplest machine learning algorithm. So KNN algorithm assumes that similar things exist in close proximity. That is, similar things are near to each other. Okay, so here whenever we are talking about the birds or animals, etc., we know that those who are having the similar characteristics, they live together or forms a group or having the similar characteristics or having the same location, etc., and the same concept is applied here. So Karen says that if my neighbor is having this property, it means that I will also have the similar properties. Okay, so it means that if my neighbor belongs to class 1, then I will also belong to the class 1 as well. So here we are talking about the closest or nearest neighbors. So building the model consists of only storing the training data set. So to make the prediction for the new points, the algorithm finds the closest data points in the training data set, its nearest neighbors. Okay, So here KNN, this is a supervised learning. Supervised, it means that I'm having the training data. In the training data, I know input as well as the output. It means that right now, if consider in the training data, माझा स्वतःचा डेटा आहे आणि माझा क्लास मेन्शन्ड आहे. Then if a new data arrives or new neighbor arrives, then it will check who is the closest of that neighbor. मग ते काय चेक करते की बाबा त्या नेबरचा सगळ्यात क्लोजेस्ट नेबर कुठला आहे, म्हणजे त्या पर्सनचा किंवा त्या नवीन डेटा व्हॅल्यूचा क्लोजेस्ट नेबर कोणचा आहे. And on that basis it will decide whether to belong to which class that person can be or that data point can be. So KNN is used for both regression as well as the classification. So let us go for first classification. Okay, in its simplest version. So K म्हणजे काय की मी किती नेबर्स मेन्शन करायला हवे. ओके, K is the value of neighbors. ओके, म्हणजे मी एकच नेबर चूज करते किंवा मल्टिपल नेबर्स चूज करते. ओके, so it is the simplest version. KNN algorithm only considers the exactly one nearest neighbor, which is closest training data points to the point we want to make the prediction for. So okay, prediction is then simply the known output for this training point. So here we will talk this with respect to the figure. Okay, so this is the figure. Okay, या figure मध्ये काय आहे की here first let us check the hue. So this one, the blue circle or blue circular region says that it is training class 0 is there. There are two classes, 0 and 1 are there. So blue point says that this is that is circle. This says that is the training मध्ये यांचा class fix आहे की म्हणजे हे class 0 चे आहेत. Those which are triangular, those are belong to the class 1. Okay, हे class 1 मध्ये belong आहेत. आणि स्टार जे आहेत ते न्यू पॉइंट्स आहेत. ओके, न्यू पॉइंट्स म्हणजे माझे टेस्ट पॉइंट्स आहेत. मग त्यांच्यासाठी मला प्रेडिक्शन्स करायचं आहे की बाबा तो कुठल्या क्लासमध्ये बिलॉंग करू शकतो. दिस स्टार अँड दिस स्टार. सो फॉर दिस पर्पज वी विल कॅल्क्युलेट द क्लोजेस्ट नेबर. मग या केसमध्ये फक्त के ची व्हॅल्यू जी आहे ती 1 आहे. 1 म्हणजे काय की मी सगळेच्या सगळे नेबर्स कन्सिडर करत नाही, मी फक्त एकच कुठला तरी नेबर कन्सिडर करते. मग 1 म्हणजे सिम्पलेस्ट व्हर्जन मध्ये के ची व्हॅल्यू 1 असते. सो मी काय करेन की या स्टार पासून बाकीचे जे डेटा पॉइंट्स आहेत ते चेक करेन की बाबा याच्यापासून क्लोज कोण कोण आहे. ओके, सो दिस वन इज माय वन डेटा पॉइंट अँड दिस वन इज अनदर डेटा पॉइंट. सो आय विल चेक द डिस्टन्सेस बिटवीन द रिमेनिंग डेटा पॉइंट्स. आणि त्याच्यामधून जो क्लोजेस्ट आहे, जो मिनिमम डिस्टन्सचा आहे, त्याचा जो क्लास आहे तोच क्लास त्या न्यू टेस्ट डेटाला दिला जाईल. Right now here star is there. Initially this will be a test data. This will calculate distance between this point. This will calculate distance between this triangle, this data value, or multiple data values. Or some of the algorithms takes data values for all the data points. And we will check which one is the closest. Among that, for this star, I'm having this circle as the closest neighbor. Then or nearest neighbor. And because of which whatever the class belongs to this circle, that will be assigned to this star. Similarly for this triangle as well, sorry, this star as well. So this will calculate the distance between this star and remaining data points, wherever training data points. And from that, it will find out the nearest neighbor, and the class which belongs to this neighbor will be assigned to this new test data. Similarly for this star as well. Clear with this? The nearest neighbor. Right now this is the simplest case. या केस मध्ये फक्त एकच नेबर कन्सिडर केला जातो. ओके, इफ कन्सिडर म्हणजे या केस मध्ये मी here I considered only single k equal to single nearest neighbor. but k value can be varied. It means it is not mandatory that we should be 1 equal to 1 only. There can be multiple neighbors as well, or we may consider the multiple neighbors. K value can vary, and here consider, instead of considering only one closest neighbor, we can also consider an arbitrary number k of neighbors. So this is where the name of the algorithm is KNN, that is neighbors, comes from. Okay, when considering more than one neighbor, we use voting to assign a label. Voting, it means that those, if consider k, I can have 2, I can have 3, I can have 4 values. So k value is always chosen in terms of odd numbers. Okay, k ची value नेहमी odd number मध्ये घेतली जाते, so that it should not have the even cases of the classes. Okay, असं होऊ नये की समजा मी 2 जर k ची व्हॅल्यू घेतली तर एक या क्लासचा आणि एक दुसऱ्या क्लासचा, मग मी त्यावेळेस टाय होतो, त्यावेळेस मी कन्सिडर करू शकत नाही की माझा की कुठल्या नेबरला, म्हणजे कुठल्या नेबरकडे जायला हवा. दॅट्स वाय k व्हॅल्यूज इज ऑलवेज chosen as an nahi. In case of regression, etc., k can have the any value, but in case of classification, it always goes for the odd values. So here voting, it means that those which are majority belong to the classes, that value will be assigned to the, or that class will be assigned to the new data point. So when considering more than one neighbor, we use this, we count to class 0 and how many belong to class 1. बाबा class 0 ला किती neighbors आहेत, class 1 मध्ये किती neighbors आहेत, आणि त्याच्यानुसार voting आपलं कसं similarly, we then assign the class that is more frequent. In other words, the majority class among the k nearest neighbors. And next is the next example shows that if there are 3k, k equal to 3 is there. That is, right now we are choosing about the 3 closest neighbors. This will be the scenario. Okay, I will give you a minute to analyze this figure. Please check this figure and then I will explain. Okay, can anybody give me explanation what you studied from this figure? No explanation or no observation. Okay, let me explain. So previously, when we saw this figure, so here at this point, we are considering the value of k is exactly 1. That is, we are considering only first or single neighbor, which is nearest, and the same class belong to that neighbor will be given to the new test data. Okay, and hence the star, the closest neighbor is this, and that's why the class belong to this. That is, class 0 is assigned, class 1 is assigned, and class 0 is assigned. But when we saw this figure, here we are considering the three neighbors, and then out of that, the majority, the class will be assigned to that data point. Okay, so now if we consider this data point, to this data point, the three nearest neighbors are this point, and this point. So these are the three training data values whose class is already defined. But when we wanted to decide the class for this new test data, at this point, so here there is only one neighbor with class 0 and there are two neighbors with class 1. So here we applied the voting. Voting, it means that the majority class labels, whatever are there within the neighbor list, that will be given to the star. So right now there are two classes are there. There are two data points which belong to the class 1. And that's why this data point will have class 1 instead of class 0. Okay. Here, again, here we are having this star. Previously, the class was this. Even though if we take the k, that is k equal to 3 as nearest neighbors, if we calculate the distance, we come to know that there is only one neighbor from the class 0 and there are two neighbors from the class 1. And hence this class of this star is as well class 1. And for this data point, again we calculated the nearest neighbors, k equal to 3. And we come to know that this is also having the class 0. So here for data point second and third, class is not changed if we change the value of k. But if we consider the data point, that is test data point 1, at this point we come to know that if the k value is changing, then class value will also change. Okay, so it means that if we change the value of k, the results may vary, or we may have a different result for different values of k. Okay, so here this is the prediction made by using nearest neighbor, that is whenever there are three neighbors, and this is the prediction made whenever we are having k equal to only 1. Okay, the conclusion out of this. Clear with the conclusion? Conclusion clear आहे सगळ्यांना? Okay. So now let us go for how the KNN algorithm works. Okay. So let us go through the steps. So first it loads the data. That is whatever data set we are having, that will load the data. Initialize k to your chosen number of the neighbors. Okay, initially k किती choose करायचं, whether it should be only one neighbor, two neighbors, 3 or 4, etc. So that is a k is chosen. So then for each example in data, okay, whatever data points we are having into our data, calculate the distance between query example and the current example from data. ओके, ऍट दिस पॉइंट म्हणजे KNN अल्गोरिदम वर्क करायच्या आधी माझ्याकडे सुपरवाइज लर्निंग थ्रू मी ऑलरेडी ट्रेनिंग डेटा माझ्याकडे ग्राफ मध्ये ऑलरेडी आहे. ट्रेनिंग डेटा म्हणजे काय की इनपुट अँड द क्लास. फॉर रिमेनिंग पॉइंट्स दॅट इज ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल. म्हणजे हे जे पहिले दोन जे आहेत ते माझ्याकडे ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल आहेत. अँड स्टार आर माय न्यू डेटा पॉइंट्स. Okay, so this data is already, training data is already available and I wanted to go for the star. मी काय करेन की जो काय माझा ट्रेनिंग डेटा आहे तो ऑलरेडी प्लॉट करून घेईन, or I will make this available into some data array etc. And then later on whenever my new test data, never seen data, जो मी याच्या आधी यूज नाही केला असा डेटा म्हणजे माझा हा डेटा, load the new data and then I will initialize the value of k and then first I will calculate the distance. Okay, so distance calculate करण्यासाठी आपल्याकडे multiple ways आहेत. So just like Euclidean distance, this is my x, this is my y. If I wanted to calculate between these two values, so we know that the formula we apply is x square plus y square and square root. Okay, x difference of y, this distance we are calculating. So Euclidean distance जो काही आपला Pythagorean theorem चा जो formula आहे that we can use and based on that we will calculate the distance. Okay, then add the distance and the index of example to the ordered collection. Okay, so here we wanted to calculate the nearest neighbor. Nearest neighbor म्हणजे काय की ज्याची smallest value आहे, the one neighbor which is a very closest म्हणजे काय की माझा डिस्टन्स हा मिनिमम असायला हवा. Okay, that's why we are keeping whatever distances we are calculating that we are keeping into some ordered collection. म्हणजे ordered collection म्हणजे काय की असं नाही की ज्यावेळेस मी डेटा पॉइंट्स मध्ये डिस्टन्सेस कॅल्क्युलेट करायला सुरुवात करते त्यावेळेस मी कुठून सुरुवात करते की बाबा हा रॅन्डमली हा टेस्ट डेटा घ्यायचा आणि याच्यापासून याचं डिस्टन्स कॅल्क्युलेट करायचं, याचं करायचं. सो दॅट इज डिसाइडेड बाय माय डेटा सेट. म्हणजे माझा जो ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट आहे तो एका आरे मध्ये असू शकतो. ओके, मग आरे मधून मी काय करेन की जसा माझा डेटा 1 to 100 पर्यंत जसा आहे किंवा 1 to 20 पर्यंत आहे त्या प्रत्येकासोबत माझा डिस्टन्स कलेक्ट करेन. मग असं मॅन्डेटरी नाहीये की हे इन्क्रीजिंग ऑर्डर मध्ये असायला हवे. सो दिस मे कॅल्क्युलेट फर्स्ट फॉर दिस पॉइंट, फर्स्ट सेकंड फॉर दिस पॉइंट, सेकंड फॉर दिस पॉइंट, थर्ड फॉर दिस पॉइंट एक्सेट्रा. म्हणजे माझं रॅन्डमली कुणासोबत ही डिस्टन्स कॅल्क्युलेट होऊ शकतं. बट whatever distance we are calculating that will be stored into the ordered collection. Ordered म्हणजे काय की जिथं increasing किंवा decreasing order आहे. Right now we are talking about the minimum, so this will always have a minimum. म्हणजे increasing order मध्ये हे distances save केले जातात. Okay, then sort the ordered collection of the distances and indices from the smallest to largest in ascending order by the distances. Pick the first k entries. Okay, माझ्याकडे k किती आहेत, on that basis we will decide the first k entries from the sorted collection. Get the labels of selected k entries. म्हणजे जेवढे काय त्यांचे लेबल आहेत द क्लास, फॉर एक्झाम्पल इफ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट k इक्वल टू 3, प्रत्येकाचं लेबल कुठलं आहे ते कलेक्ट करायचं. So if we are talking about the regression म्हणजे as I initially told you that KNN is also used for the regression. Regression सध्या लक्ष देऊ नका. Skip the 7th point and directly move to the 8th point. Return the mode of the K labels. Okay, in classification, which is having the maximum values of the or maximum majority of the labels, that label should be given to the K. Okay, so that is a KNN algorithm. So please go through the steps. Clear with algo? So here, k value can vary from, it means we can choose as a, whenever we are designing some system, etc., classifier, etc., we can decide which value to be chosen. So this is the graph, comparison for the training and test accuracy as function of n neighbors. Okay. So here, initially I am having only one nearest neighbor, 2, 3, and up to 10. That is, this is a value of k, and what can be the accuracy if we consider with respect to the training as well as considering the test data. So please go through the figure. So here meaning is that if consider I'm taking k equal to 1 as k equal to 1, then there is a 90% or 91.91% accuracy, and there is a 100% accuracy for the training data, and for the test data we are having the 91% accuracy. If we take k equal to 2, this is having the accuracy almost 89%. Whereas in case of test data, we are having the 98% as an accuracy. If we consider 3 as nearest neighbor, then we can say that here around 92% is the accuracy for the test data, and here we can say that around 96% is the accuracy for the training data. Similarly, so on. So here at this point, if we take k equal to 6, okay, if we take k equal to 6, so we can mention that, or we can say that the training as well as testing is around 0.93 to 0.95%. Okay. Even though it means in this way, the neighbors can vary, and even though we take, it means the worst case possibility where k equal to 2 is there. At this point also we can say that the accuracy is 0.88%, okay, or accuracy is around 89%. That is quite large. Whenever we are performing classification, etc., that is quite large. It means that above 85%, this was accuracy is expected. So any algorithm, whenever we are designing, we expect that it should give the maximum. But when it comes to the KNN algorithm, the minimum accuracy is 89%, which is quite good. It means we can say that that is acceptable. Okay, so it means that KNN algorithm is most widely acceptable algorithm for classification. So clear with this graph? So now let us make some conclusions for KNN. So here, similarly, just like we use for the classification, we can use KNN for the regression as well. So there is also regression variant of k nearest neighbors algorithm. Consider that we are using a single nearest neighbor. So we have added 3 test points as green stars on the x-axis, and prediction using single neighbor is just a target value of the nearest neighbor. Okay. So first, consider we wanted to find out the single, it means we wanted to have k equal to 1. Okay. So we have added 3 test points. So 3 green stars are there. So this one is a star, this one is a star, and this one is a star, which we added as a test data. Okay, and those which are blue dots are there. So these are the training targets. And I wanted to make which can be the test prediction. So the prediction using a single neighbor is just a target value of the nearest neighbor. So here I wanted to check, that is we wanted to check what can be the value of regression. Regression म्हणजे काय की माझी कंटिन्युअस व्हॅल्यू आहे, मला फक्त व्हॅल्यू एक्सपेक्ट करायची, प्रेडिक्ट करायची की ती व्हॅल्यू किती असू शकते. But whenever we are talking about this value, so we will find out the minimum distance, and whenever k equal to 1 is there, so we will calculate the minimum distance, and based on that we will check that yes, this can be the possible value, that is target value for this data point. For this data points, this is a target value, and for this data point, this can be the target value. Target value म्हणजे काय की समजा मी इन्कम दिला की बाबा सॉरी कॉर्नचं मला yield calculate करायचे, predict करायचे. So it means that here I'm giving the input just like that is how much is the area, then what was the previous yield, etc. And based on that, I wanted to calculate this value. So this will be my target value. Okay, so these are the predictions by using the one neighbor. So here for the first data point, I'm getting the value as around minus 1.5. For the second test prediction, for the second test point, I'm getting nearest 0 value. And for the third, I'm getting value around 1. Okay, so in between 0 and 1, I'm having the remaining 2 target values. So this is when we are having only single nearest neighbor, one nearest neighbor. But we can go for having the more than one nearest neighbors. So in this case, we are calculating the mean. So previous case, what we have done, we calculated the nearest neighbor, and जो काही माझा nearest neighbor आहे त्याचीच value or that target value म्हणजे त्याचा जो point आहे or whatever the target value of that data point is there, the same value is assigned to this. म्हणजे माझा हा nearest point आहे x पासूनचा, sorry, from the test data. So this is having the value as minus 1.5. The same target value will be given to that. If I'm considering this one, याचीच value मी या target म्हणजे test data दिली. हा nearest neighbor आहे, तर याचीच value मी याला assign केली. Okay, so but when it comes to the multiple nearest neighbors, just multiple nearest neighbors that, so we are calculating the mean value. Okay, the average or mean value. जेवढे जेवढे माझे neighbors आहेत. Previously, in case of classification, we are taking the class labels, but right now we are taking the actual target values of those neighbors, and then we calculate the mean value, and then we apply whatever mean value is there, that will be the target value. Okay, for example, for this, even though we are having this as a value, so we will calculate the nearest target value, nearest neighbors. And if we take x equal to k equal to 3, so these are the values, and based on that we calculate the mean value. Okay, yeah, 3 neighbors mean value we calculate केली. So for this also we calculate the mean value of 3 neighbors and mean value of 3 neighbors. Okay, so you might be considering that why it means for this the closest are these and these. No, actually this is test data and we are having this as a target. So for this I will check this vertical line and I will check from this vertical line which are the nearest neighbors. Okay, म्हणजे vertically याच्यासोबत या line सोबत कुठले कुठले mini म्हणजे closest आहेत, those points we are considering. And that's why here we are calculating from the star this value, sorry, या line पासून कुठले कुठले data points nearest आहेत. So this one is one, this one is another, and this one is third. And based on that, we will take the mean value. Similarly, for this data point and this data point. So here we can get the value around, that is minus 0.5. So previously, when we discussing about this single neighbor, we got the value as minus 1.5. So, but here we got the value as minus 0.5. Whereas for this, I'm getting 0. And for this, I'm getting around 0.5. Yes, for those previously, this was greater than 0. And this was closest to the 1. So this is how the k nearest neighbors is used for the regression. Okay, so how we can go for choosing the value of k? Okay, so in particular, there is no any fixed rule that based on this only you can choose the k, etc. So okay. So there is no any fixed rule how we can choose the value of k. So whenever we are designing the KNN algorithm, so we can run that algorithm by changing the value of k, etc. It means initially we will take 1, 2, 3, etc. It means in this trial and error ways also we can go for choosing the value of k. Wherever we are having the accuracy much more, at this point we can decide that can be the value of k. Okay, but in most of the cases, k value preferred. It means wherever applications KNN is used. So 5 is the preferred value for the k. So if we take very low value of k, such as k equal to 1 or k equal to 2, this can be noisy and leads to the effect of outliers in the model. That is, few data points which are outlier. For those cannot be neighbors to the any of the data points in such way can be outlier. म्हणजे काय की तर outlier म्हणजे फक्त तो point सगळ्याच्या बाहेर आहे असं नाही. So it can happen that, for example, in this case, if consider this data points I'm having lying at this point, okay, मग हा कुठल्याच माझ्या नेबर्स मध्ये कॅल्क्युलेट केला जाऊ शकत नाही, and they may assign for the another or म्हणजे तो एक isolated point म्हणून it can lead to. Okay, and that's why here KNN this is not preferred. So I request please don't leave the meet. During the last 5 minutes I will take the attendance, and do not put your roll numbers into the chat window. I will take the attendance by my own. I said do not put your roll numbers into the chat window. So whenever we are having the large k values, these are good, but there are many difficulties whenever we are calculating the mean, etc. It means if our data that is k is increased, the much more complexity it will add. Okay, and that's why in intermediate k values are chosen. So next, let us conclude the KNN. So k nearest neighbor, KNN is a algorithm. It's simple, supervised machine learning algorithm that can be used to solve both classification and regression problems. And it is easy to implement and understand, but has major drawback of becoming significantly slow as size of data in use grows. Okay, if consider we are having many data points goes on increasing, then KNN may work slowly. Okay, so KNN works by finding the distance between the query, that is a new data point, that is test data, and all examples in the data, selecting the specified number k and closest to the query, then votes for the most frequent label, that is in case of classification, and averages in case of regressions. Okay, this is how the KNN works. Any doubt in the KNN? Okay, so let us go for the next. So I expected to take logistic regression, but instead of that, we will go for the decision trees. Okay, so what is meant by a decision tree? Okay, first let us discuss what is meant by a tree when it comes to the computer science. Tree, it means that this is a non-linear data structure which separates the ways. आणि ट्री मध्ये मेन म्हणजे हे आहे की माझ्याकडे लूपिंग नाही. Okay, it is one direction. If I choose the one branch, then I cannot return to the same point again. Okay, so decision trees, so these are widely used for the classification and regression tasks. So this is that is we are choosing if else model, just like if I'm taking the if, then I cannot go for the else, etc. It means I will have a completely separate destination for if else. Okay, for example, how this figure. So in this figure, consider that I wanted to go class into the animals or living things, etc. So initially I will go with the feathers. If feathers are there, if true or false. So feathers, so if consider that one, then separate branch, within that it will check whether it can fly. If yes, then I can say that this categorizes into hawk, and if no, then it will categorize into penguin. So it means that here we are checking the decision tree. It means that here the classification way we are choosing. So this is how the decision trees work. If I choose the decision, any of the decisions, then I cannot return to this side at all. Okay. So again, here again, I will have a separate questions or separate criteria for the each of the node. And these nodes will decide actually how, that is this node, it means that we can say the features of those data points, and based on those features we will decide whether to categorize into this category or this category. So this is how the decision trees works. So decision trees, these are mostly used for taking the business decisions where you wanted to apply for the risk, etc. Okay, but here the main thing is that it doesn't have a written point. A written point, it means that there is no any circle, etc., or loop, etc., because of which even though we choose this, we cannot return to the previous step. Okay, so this mostly used for the classification and regression as well. So classification, whatever my classes are there, so these classes will be mentioned here, and what makes those classes different or makes those contents classified different from each other, those will be chosen as a dividation criteria. Any doubt in the decision trees? So 8 we had not, it means for the KNN also I wanted to take the implementation, but I cannot find the appropriate example, that is short example, so that I can cover during the class. But up to the next lecture, if possible, I will get the example. And regarding the decision trees also, we will take the examples. So these all implementations, let it be KNN or let it be decision trees, all these implementations are available into the scikit-learn. Okay, this was the library which is designed for specially for the machine learning algorithms. Okay, but actually whatever data science programs are there, these are much more lengthier and hence whenever we are drawing the graph, etc., it is difficult to understand, that is how we have drawn which data points, what is x, what is y, or why this feature is taken, etc. And that's why I'm not covering right now. So let us cover for the few examples. Let us cover, that is these 6 algorithms regarding the supervised learning, and then we will go for each of these implementations one by one. Okay, So today we studied about the KNN algorithm steps, KNN classification, KNN regression, and started with the decision trees. So if you are having the problem in either of the slide or either of the points, let me know. So for the time being, please don't leave the meet. Let me take the attendance for next 5 minutes. If you're having the doubt, please you can ask. I'm still on. But please don't leave the meet.